How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the special edition of KO Podcast Home, where we talk about the Marvel movies. On Friday, this Friday, the Avengers Infinity War will release, and it is the, shall we say, not final piece of Phase 3, but alright, so it is where a lot of these movies are leading to. And I'm not saying it is the end goal, because there is more movies in the Phase 3 that are supposed to be coming. So, let's see. The thing you have to realize is that these movies have been going since 2008. That's 10 years. And I don't know who's gonna die, but you think Robert Downey Jr., you think Chris Evans, you think Chris Hemsworth, because they are a part of the first cycle. And well, let's get into it. So the first phase is Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and the then it gets into the Avengers itself. So it's 2 Iron Mans, a Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Avengers. So you guys can check out on Wikipedia the plots for all these movies. I'm just going to give you some quick tidbits and go from there. So Iron Man. It starts off with a really snarky, immature guy that is kind of responsible for a lot of destruction, because the guy makes weapons. And that's Tony Stark to start the movie. And he gets captured within the first 5 minutes by the Ten Rings organization. So what's really important here is that what's really important is that alright, might be lost. Okay. So anyway, what's really important is that Tony Stark is a guy who develops a conscience. And he develops a conscience because it's his own weapons that were used to take out the soldiers that he was with and to capture him. So that's the first big moment of the movie. The second big moment, and to me this is character payoff. This is why I love these movies. And you see the guy he's with sacrifice himself to buy time. He's one man in a cave with a machine gun going after, and he has this real Han Solo moment where Han's chasing the bad guys through the cave, and he realized, oh shit, there's more bad guys waiting at the end of this than at the beginning. And that leads off into the next biggest moment, which is the Mark I lights up in the dark. And they don't just bust him out on screen. They have doors breaking, they have guys running scared, they have this incredible bust out scene where he takes off once he's out of the cave and he's lit everybody on fire and he's destroyed all their weapons. And I just love that. And he has this like I'm no longer gonna make weapons anymore, and like they had this fun moment with the guy from Mad Money and all that, but he's still living this lifestyle. And then it goes into like not superhero stuff, but it's like he's not, I'm going to save people. It's like I have these things going on, like all that. And the moment that forever like earned me like I will buy a ticket to these movies was the scene where the town is getting raided, and you have this kid and a dad, and the kid gets taken away from the dad, and the dad's about to get killed, and it's like up in the sky, like Iron Man just comes down, stops everything. And like that to me is the 30 seconds why superhero movies will always get me, just because they, like, in a realistic situation, there's no cavalry coming. Like that situation turns out bad 99% of the time, but like to steal a Robert Kirkman line, like, look up. So those were like the key moments of Iron Man, where it's just like and plus, like, I think a lot of that has to do with Favreau, because I don't know like how much influence he had, but he made things human. And when he had like the two robots and the one because that's the last best one. Like the whole point of superhero movies is that to me, like something really bad can be stopped. And when the one robot saves Tony Stark's life by bringing him the thing that he can't reach after being rather incompetent the whole movie, yeah, that was like that just hits at you. So Iron Man was a huge success, and it kind of set a trend. The one issue I always had with not Iron Man, but Marvel movies, is that the villains are not as good as they could be. Like, a lot of the villains are So anyway, the villains, they could have been better. Like, in a lot of the Marvel movies, like, they had really good actors in a bunch of them, but the villains honestly could have been a little bit better. So the next movie in the list was Incredible Hulk, and Incredible Hulk was good, but it wasn't great. It was too mixy. Like, it took from the comics and it took from the TV show, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. They haven't picked up on the whatever the guy's name is, Maestro, or the leader. Like, they haven't picked up on that plot line in 10 years, so I don't think they're going to. There's a lot of issues with the Hulk in terms of making a movie, because of the fact that Universal owns the film rights to the Hulk, but not necessarily the character. Like, they own the distribution rights, so that makes things challenging to make a movie with, because like, it's red tape. So from the Hulk, I'm trying to think of what the most best moment was, and it was probably It was probably when Tony Stark walks into the bar and talks to General Ross. So, like, just give you that's what it was. Like, it let you know that these movies are all connected. And I should mention in Iron Man 1, Nick Fury shows up at the end to just hint at, like, more things to come. So this is what lets you know that these movies are going to be interconnected, if not like in a large way, then like little tidbits. All right, fast forward to Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2, it was rushed. If you ask me, it was rushed because it's taking on like story elements from the first movie and expanding upon them, but it didn't do it in the best way I think it could have. But like again, it's like one of my favorite movie moments was Phil Coulson goes up to Tony Stark and he's using a prototype Captain America shield as a shim, basically, and that's when you realize, like, oh, okay, we can expect some things when the Captain America comes out. There was a lot of nice things here and there in Iron Man 2, but it's not my favorite Iron Man. I think Iron Man 1 is still the Iron Man, like, best of them all. So, moving on to Thor. The first Thor is good. Tom Hiddleston steals scenes that he's in. Looking back on it now, Thor is way too pretty. Like they did things differently. I don't know, like hair and makeup, like what those things are, but the hair and makeup on Thor, he is way too pretty, but Chris Hemsworth does a great job of being charismatic, and like that's a difference maker. Like, Loki is the first great Marvel villain in the movies, and you can definitely tell like how important he was because of just how far it went and all that. But one of my favorite moments in that movie is the Hawkeye scene where Thor is just tearing through all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and Hawkeye's up on there. He's like, do I take him out? He's like, hey, I'm starting to root for this guy. Do I take him out? Great line. Jeremy Renner, good casting for Hawkeye because he fits the vision of what Hawkeye is. And then we get Captain America, the first Avenger, and this one is my personal favorite of the Captain America is probably the best overall franchise in the Marvel library, film-wise, because it was cast perfectly on all levels. It's had the best villains overall, and like just the action is pretty good by itself. So if you had to watch like a movie without caring about the characters, like I would recommend the Captain America ones. So first you're introduced to scrawny Steve Rogers, who lets you already know that everything that happens is flashback because they discover the plane. So scrawny Steve Rogers wants to go to war because he wants to do the right thing, and the doctor asked him, "Do you want to kill Nazis?" And he was like, "No, I just don't like bullies." And the toughness, like the fact that he hits above his weight class in these scenes when he's getting bullied by bigger dudes, he just always keeps going. And like first moment that really gives you goosebumps, he takes the garbage can lid and holds it like a shield, and you're just like, oh. And like the second, like going forward, like the second biggest moment to me was, for whatever reason, like Tommy Lee Jones does not want him as a soldier, even though the process clearly worked. So he ends up getting to go overseas as a war bonds like performer, and he punches out Hitler like 47 times or whatever it is, and then cut to he's doing it for the troops who've actually been fighting in the war, and holy, like that was a moment. So that was like that was part of it. Then you have like the relationship with Agent Carter, and that one is just like, that's probably the best love story in the Marvel. Like I would put that above Tony and Pepper. I would put that above Star-Lord and Gamora. Like that's where I would go. So aside from what I'm about to talk about next, I want to point out like the best moment in that movie, the grenade. The last test before Tommy Lee Jones is satisfied is he takes a dummy grenade and he throws it out there, pin out, and everyone's running, and Steve is the only one that dives on the grenade. And he's like, get back, get back. That, to me, was... yeah, that was something. So... I should be remiss without talking about the one character in this movie that really made the movie, which is the Red Skull. The Red Skull... acted by Hugo Weaving, is perfect. He's the right blend of arrogant, like maniacal, will kill everybody, and a good understated foil for the hero. Because Red Skull had the prototypical, the prototype serum that Erskine developed. So he has the same strength and all that as Steve Rogers, except that his skin turned red and constricted so that he ends up looking the way he does. And the reveal of the Red Skull, like not being the Red Skull, like when he peels off his face, like that was a good one. So losing light, so I'm just going to start with the Avengers. All right, so Avengers 1. The previous movies I just talked about set the stage. You got Hawkeye from Thor. Iron Man 2, one of the best parts of Iron Man 2 was Black Widow, which I forgot to mention just now. But I forgot to mention it just now, so just give you an idea of what I think of it. So then you have Hulk, Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. And the two best parts of the Avengers, even though there's a lot of them, Joss Whedon was a really good choice to direct this movie and to write it, because he can do action, he understands the concept of it, he can do snark, he gets the characters. So what he did was pretty good. Like when you have Bruce Banner versus Natasha Romanoff as they're trying to bring in the Hulk, like that one was good because like the playfulness of Bruce Banner in Avengers, or Bruce Banner in general, like Mark Ruffalo as Banner. Like there was doubts about him going into it, but he did it just so well. Damn it. And go this way. Like Mark Ruffalo and the Hulk in general stole the show in Avengers, because you have Natasha Romanoff scared of what the Hulk is, because she cannot deal with the Hulk. It's not something she's built to do. So then you have her on the helicopter when Banner gets loose and turns into the Hulk. You have that. And then you have the Hulk and Thor's relationship, in that the Hulk he's matched up better with Thor than anyone else. And like the one moment where like they fought together, they're side by side, and Hulk just pops him right in the jaw and knocks him across the room. I mean, that one was perfect. And Hulk, when he was with Loki, and Loki like has a moment of where I am a god, I am better than this, and the Hulk proves him wrong hilariously. Okay, so alright, this is getting annoying. Alright, so let's fix this. And alright, so gonna wrap things up real here, because we're gonna be shooting in the dark in a second. So phase one was really good. There were so many good moments in each of these movies, and I really recommend to people just watching them all over again, just for the fun of it, because this is where a lot of it started. Like, if I had to rank them, I would put Avengers first, only because it paid off everything so well. Then I would go Iron Man for starting everything, and Captain America, the first Avenger, because that one just hit, like, that one was so solid. And it might have underperformed. It didn't do as well as Iron Man did, and it didn't do as well as the Avengers would have go on to. But that one was great, and like the others, they're good, but they're not great. But there's very few, if there is one, there's very few perfect movies in the Marvel movies. Like Avengers, I think, comes the closest because it has payoffs, it has story, it introduces characters to each other, and they work together, and work together well. So, check back in tomorrow, guys, for the next video, which is going to be on phase 2. All right, peace.